Cek 1, 2, 3, kita akan mulai. Good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. We appreciate you taking off your busy schedule to join us today at StartUP MeetUp. Introduce, my name is Heri Fahrizal, and I am the employee of Telkom Indonesia. I work at Indigo Creative Nation Unit. So first of all, on behalf of Telkom Indonesia, we'd like to give a big thank for great collaboration between Amuba and Indigo Creative Nation to organize this event. Before we obviously begin this event, I would like to explain a little bit about what is Amuba and Indigo. Amuba is corporate innovation lab dedicated for internal telco, and Indigo is incubator startup for public. So for public who want to create startup, you can join us at Indigo Creative Nation. And then I want to tell you about agenda for today. There is opening speech by Mr. Arif Bustari on behalf of Division Data Service, and there's opening speech by Mrs. Judith Fah at Hungarian Ambassador Indonesia. And the core event now is agenda panel discussion by Adam Sebastian and Trevor Howley, and the last panel discussion by Adam Ferro and Daniel Andrea. And the last agenda is lunch networking. And now I would like to invite here at the stage Mr. Arif Mustaqim as Enterprise Manager Division Data Service to deliver opening remarks. To Mr. Arif, please come to the stage and give applause to Mr. Arif Mustaqim.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome in Jakarta. And it's our honor to have you here because today is very special for us. Have Ambassador of Hungary and also the special guest speaker today. And actually, just to give a brief about what actually critical corporate now have an extra effort concerning about the innovation. We define innovation in two parts. This is open innovation. We invite innovation talents, young talent that already have the idea and join with us in Indigo Creative Nation program. And it's about the in-house innovation. It's we encourage the young talent in telecom employees bringing their good idea and join in the initiative program. So far right now we are running in two modes, in the innovation and in-house innovation. And some of them also join here, so we can discuss a lot about what actually we already done and what actually we are running the program and what is actually the future that actually we want to do, not only in for the telecom itself, but also in fight the state-owned enterprises, because right now more than 100 state-owned enterprises also doing the innovation together. So have a good day, and I think and I believe all the guests today will entertain provide a good guest speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arif, for that wonderful remark. And the next opening speech, I would like to invite here at the stage Mrs. Yurifa as Hungary Ambassador to Indonesia. You applause to Mrs. Yurifa.
Terima kasih, selamat pagi semuanya. Saya senang sekali berada di sini pada StartUP MeetUp. Saya masih belajar dan saya sudah mengerti banyak, tapi saya tidak bicara banyak dan bicara langsung ke bahasa Inggris. So again, very warm welcome to everyone, and I'm very happy and grateful that we can be here today at this event. And first of all, it's really good to start a day like this in a working space like this, coming from an embassy, which is completely differently organized. This is really very refreshing and the perfect way to start the day. Just for the beginning, I will give you some facts about Hungary, which you might not know. So basically, we are a very small country compared to Indonesia. We are only 10 million citizens. But why we are really good in startup and in innovation, there is one number which I would like to give you, which is very good for showing that. 10 million citizens, 14 Nobel Prize winners. That's what is really much, like showing where our talents are. Hungarians, we are very revolutionary thinkers. We are very creative persons. It's partly because of our history, because we always have been across middle of Europe. We struggled with a lot of crises, and usually the Hungarian way of thinking is that we are always looking, how we call it, for small gates, for the creative ways, how we can round around problems. And it was throughout history, but right now, what causes today in the digital era that we are one of the fastest developing startup hubs in Europe. And that's why you see it that just recently, and a couple of years ago, Forbes magazine named Budapest #1 startup capital in Europe. And you see it that when you visit our country, you will find a lot of incubation centers, a lot of startups which started actually from Budapest. If you are working with Prezi.com, new presentation software, it was developed by Hungarians. If you know Ustream, it's also Hungarian. And there are a lot of other technologies, which I'm right now not an expert in this, but you can check them out, and they were all developed in Hungary. And we believe that this is really something where we can cooperate with Indonesia, because Indonesia is one of the youngest nations in the world, and you are full of creativity. And that's always, I'm going to a lot of universities, and I always see so many bright people, and just seeing you here working and developing so many things. And if I look at Indonesian startups like Gojek, Traveloka, and everything, it's amazing. And that's why we think that's a very good way to cooperate. And you might not be aware, but in the recent years between Indonesia and Hungary, we six-fold the trade numbers. There is a lot of cooperation going on, and I'm very happy that especially Telkom this year signed an agreement with the Hungarian company Salom. And they invested because Salom is right now giving the fintech platforms for Telkom. And it was also, if you look at the Jasamarga opening of the toll road with the onboard unit system, it was developed by the Hungarian company. And if you look, for example, Sharia core banking system in Danamon, it's a Hungarian software. If you look at Evercross phones, and if you check out your e-wallet, which is there, it's Hungarian. These are basically, so we are already there, but of course we want to enhance our cooperation. And this week I'm very, very proud because we have some excellent Hungarian companies here. We will have speaking from Daniel from Salom, who is already cooperating with Telkom, also representing FastiPay. We have an amazing expert from Hungary, Adam Sebastian, who will be speaking. He's an IT incubation expert who can tell you about how we are really incubating and helping the startups in Hungary and how this are working. And we have a half Hungarian, like Trevor, who is just wonderful Hungarian, who is an amazing American citizen with amazing online solutions, cooperating with Hungarian companies. And there will be much more coming tomorrow at the Huning.tech Forum. We're really looking forward to it. It will be an amazing event, and I'm happy that all of you came today, and I'm sure they can give you a lot of more wisdom than I can. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Zilipha. So now let's start the panel discussion for the first session. I would like to invite the stage Adam Sebastian as Business Creation at HUB, and then Trevor Howell, co-founder of Outdone Media. Your blast to Adam Sebastian and Trevor. So next we have 20 minutes for presentation, and then we want to jump to panel discussion.
I'm going to need the presentation first, but first and foremost, I want to say that this is an honor for us to be here and seeing great minds around and presenting them, sharing a bit about our experience, what we have. Let's start with some introduction presentations. Then you will have the possibility to ask questions related to the topic we will cover today. So, first and foremost, I'm Adam Sebastian. I was introduced. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I co-founded a B2B coffee company to innovation to startup company, and I also work for European Innovation Agency. We're responsible for startup programs and startup innovations in 12 different European countries. And on top of that, I'm also part of a Hungarian business incubator, where I work as a business incubation expert. The title of the presentation today is Invest Time and Money Only in Relevant Innovation. I'd like to talk about a little bit about the fact that everyone loves innovation. So if you go out and you start to talk about your idea, you're enthusiastic, we're sort of using this example, but a little bit like puppies. Everyone loves puppies. No one will say that I don't like your idea. Everyone's very enthusiastic about you. You were the next founder of Gojek, Airbnb, a lot of other great startups. But when you start talking to investors, it's a little bit different story. So you definitely feel that investors are picky, rough, tough. They have tough questions. They're not that nice after you pitch your idea to them. They have always tough questions. They're not convinced. There are just a very few startups which get funded at the end. So I'm in a similar position. So I've more than hundreds of pitches, ideas, and it's very difficult to choose the right ones. So we have different solutions and different ideas how we can assess and measure whether the startup is really relevant or not. But investors are very easy at the end. At the end of the day, they just do things. So they want to minimize the risk and maximize the profit. They have financial backgrounds, and that's what we do. But obviously, we need to have some models in order to do that. And I prepared a couple of different models you can score startups. These are very interesting. I can send you this presentation. I think it's good to consider this was not something that I invented, but we use them quite heavily. But this is something that you can Google up. You can go through, you can consider all of these factors. I wouldn't suggest to spend too much time on that. But there's a key message. So the other one was even more complex. This one is something that we use as well, like scoring startups. But there's a key message, and that's the one that I want to highlight. So all comes down, this is the value proposition, and then I think it all comes down to problem solution fit. That's the base for everything. So if you have a good problem solution fit, you can be sure that at least you succeed. That's the base for everything. If you don't have that, the whole idea is just way out. What I would like to talk about is how you can arrive to this problem solution fit. And I'm coming from a very remote place, but if you see that Forbes has very recent survey, and the number one reason why startups fail is because they do not have market, which means that they try to solve problems which are not in the market. So there's no problem solution fit. So that's an idea how you can be sure that you arrive to the stage where you answer to real problems. And The methodology that you can use is absolutely validation. Validation the damn thing. That's what comes into my mind all the time. So whenever I talk to startups and startup ideas, when I hear startup ideas, I always try to convince them that, come guys, go out and try to validate your idea with real customers, have feedbacks from potential investors, from potential other startups who are also in the same business, and try to get out of your mind. So normally when you write on something, it always looks nice on paper. But when you try to really go out to the market and try to really convince people that this is a good idea, that's the point where you get feedbacks, real feedbacks. Based on the feedbacks, you can iterate, and then based on the iteration, you can develop your idea. And you need to do that constantly. That's an iteration process, which is a must. What I suggest is to always use this value proposition sentence. It helps you to summarize what you do. And then if you have all that, I think that's the point where you need to go out and think about how you can validate it. Validation is not that easy as it sounds. I mean, the concept is very easy. You just go out and try to get into conversation with potential customers. But at the end, you can go to the wrong tracks. So I will not get any commission out of the selling of this book, but this book is about how you can validate your idea properly. That's just, that small, that big, and I think it costs around 10 euros. You can buy it online. I would definitely suggest to buy this book and consider how you can talk to customers and not ruin. Because even your mom, which is obviously very biased, can say like good insights to you about your idea. I think that's the point. And just one program I wanted to mention as an example. It's a very interesting program we organized in Hungary with several European partners. It's a program where startups are sent to a roadshow. So they get onto a bus, they go around Europe, and they have around, so per startup, they have around 100 meetings with potential investors, customers, clients, and other big corporates who give feedbacks to them. I believe that this is a program which is very relevant. We can discuss that later on, even with the Unigo stuff. So my key message is that the number one reason why startups fail is because they do not have market. They do not answer to real problems. And to solve that, basically that's what investors look for. I believe that investors look for services that solve real customer problems. That's what you always need to keep in mind. Thanks very much. Yeah, sure. Any questions so far? Yep. There's one startup which is focused on early diagnosis. So it can diagnose in a very early stage Alzheimer's disease based on the movement of the mouse. That's a very interesting example that I have done recently, and we invested into the startup. That was a question, right? That was another one, which is pretty much connected to it. Like that's a similar solution, but they do not use the movement of mouse. They use the typing, and it's connected to Parkinson's disease story. So based on your typing patterns, it can also diagnose Parkinson's disease in a very early stage compared to any other solutions. Yep.
Yeah, so great. So what's the, if you have some time, what's the, so in that framework, and so helpful, what is the go-to-market customers product, the revenue model, strategy?
Yeah, very interesting questions. We can elaborate a little bit more on that. But the thing is, normally, I mean, as an investor, you definitely want to minimize the time to market. So there are different options. You can have solutions to the end users, but you can also sell your solution to like medicine manufacturers who can then like test their medicines in people who are diagnosed with the United States Alzheimer. That's the point. So that would be the easiest way to sell this service. This is not an end customer solution. They sell like information to bigger phone companies that can like start to measure or test those people who are diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer. That's the go-to-market strategy right now.
Anyway, we are still waiting for the trail for material because there is problem with the slide. And any question for the audience? Anything about his presentation? You can speak in bahasa, I can translate. Monggo, ada yang mau bertanya, nggak apa-apa pakai bahasa Indonesia. Okay, my question. So after you know about the Indonesian market, how do you think about this market? What's the difference between the Indonesian market and Hungarian market in your perspective?
I believe that here there are a lot of ongoing initiatives, and also in case of, for instance, computers. You jump over the computer phase and you get into the smartphone era. I think you can do this with innovation as well. So you can little bit study what we have achieved in Europe and also in Hungary. We bumped into a phase with like we're challenged by a lot of difficulties. We had to get over all those difficulties. That was a way how we did it. I mean, it was very time consuming, and I believe that for you it is possible to just study what we did wrong and do it right in the first place. That's what I believe that we can do with innovation. That's something that I definitely feel, which is a distinction between Europe and Indonesia.
Okay, most of the audience is for the startup, for Amoeba or outside Amoeba. What is your advice for them to create innovation each single time? Because sometimes we are so very confused with what is the best innovation for our startup. Do you have best advice for us? What is to create innovation every time?
You need to elaborate on this question a little bit. So you were asking like, what is the innovation that they should do?
Do you have something formula or something that make them mind-blowing with you or reading about how to create great innovation for the startup?
I think it is very obvious that this market need is not the most important. I was really highlighting this very basic assumptions that you answer, so your solution answers to a real problem on the market. I think that's the basics. So if you are there are a lot of other logistics in which you need to be successful in order to be successful at the end. But that's the most important part. And I think what I heard from one of the colleagues that you use your customers, so Takom customers, to validate some of the products, some of the innovations that startups come up with. I think that's a great idea. That's a great system only. How you can be sure that the idea that you come up with makes sense on the market as well. So that would be my basic suggestion.
So that would kind of what your innovation, please, based on the market, right? You need to make sure there is a market outside there.
It's always a bit of an iteration. So there's something in my mind that just come up like out of nowhere. And then it's only in my mind, but when I really want to do a business that's going to be physical, that's going to be something which solves a problem on the market. So if it is in my mind, it doesn't really make sense. So I need to go out, and that's what I'm emphasizing quite much. That you need to test whether it's correct or not. And it's a constant iteration. So you just test your idea, and then you have a prototype, and then you have an MVP, or the other way around. And then you do that constantly. So even with your prototype, you go out and try to have feedbacks from potential customers, potential investors, and you iterate, moderate, change the product MVP based on the feedbacks. I think that's constant iteration and constant feedbacks. That's very key as well.
The key is always doing market validation, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, masih ada pertanyaan? Oke, silakan, di belakang.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm already work, but I have students. So, my question is, what is the difference between the startup and the Hungarian market? And what is the difference between the Hungarian market and the European market? Thank you. I do the presentation of startup. So I would like to know that Korean is part of European, and based on study that startup in European compared to US, for example, is more in US, but usually there are a lot of startup in European. So that what make the people in Europeans do more startup compared, for example, other European countries. So is it because of regulation, or is it because of from internal, or from the person who do the startup? This is the question. And secondly, so is it more on technological or more on, for example, conventional market? So this is maybe we can. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. It's a really relevant question, especially because we often agree on that. So there must be a reason why there are innovation and startups. And I'm pretty sure, I'm really convinced that like innovation is not just about startups, it's about an ecosystem that helps startups to succeed on the long run. And that's something which is also based. And there are a lot of initiatives connected to the Hungarian government that help startups to succeed. So early stage funding, a lot of programs that you can use. So a lot of accelerators which were even established or like invented by a Hungarian governmental initiative. So creating the ecosystem is very important as well. And I think in Hungary, the government definitely saw the opportunity in creating an innovation ecosystem. And it means a lot of different things. So it's collaboration with big corporates, as I mentioned, educational programs, early stage funding, even the universities. So university, like education at university in this regard is also very important. So what Hungary did right was pretty much building up the ecosystem and not just focusing on one particular issue. So funding itself is not enough. Collaboration itself, cooperation with corporates is not enough. You need all of these different elements. You need all of these elements to be successful in the long run, and not just for one startup, because it is possible for one startup to be successful. But if you want to see a lot of successful startups, you definitely need to have an ecosystem behind.
Terjawab, Pak?
Ya, yang second Pak, is more technological or more on the startup business. So second question is the startup is more on technological or conventional. So because this is also important. Thank you.
More technological, more technology related. So I think there are great business model innovations. There are local innovations which only make sense in local ecosystems. But since Hungary is a very small country, you need to be internationally successful. You cannot build up a domestic startup which is super successful. And that's probably the reason why, one of the reasons why these are more technology related startups, not just business model innovations, which can be more local innovations.
Semoga terjawab ya, Pak. Anyway, I think Trevor is ready, so please give applause to Trevor. And your time you have about 20 minutes for presentation.
Well, thank you so much. This is truly an honor to be here. It's being in a startup culture. I can talk business all day. So, who's excited about what they're doing? Yeah. You guys are so lucky to be a part of this, and I think that technology giving us what we can do now and being able to create, have a dream, make it happen, it's driven me into business for 12 years at this time. So I've helped consult a variety of startup companies, everything from music fundraising to Wi-Fi solutions and sales. But really my focus, my passion has been in marketing, which I never could have in 1,000 years thought that I really liked marketing. But so I also have a marketing agency, and marketing to me is psychology. I studied psychology. I love human connection, and so getting into the business, the business of really have to learn a lot of business on psychology. Whether you're in technology or service-based businesses, startups, you're still going to have to consider all these things. So if I can get the slide to go right. So this is going to be about one of the challenges of many that startups have. You have so many in front of you, and mindset is key. Persist through, and of course the support that you have with this community is second to none. So I want to hit on a topic that is confusing for some. There's a lot going on, and that's really just marketing. And for us, I dove deep into SEO a few years ago. Who likes SEO? Who knows what SEO is? Anybody? Who's terrified of SEO? Don't know. SEO is basically understanding Google, dancing with Google. You know, all the time. It's a total pain in the butt, but you start to learn what Google really likes, and Google thinks just like a human being. Really, it's quite smart right now. So if you make content that is what other people would like, that connects with other people, telling a story, it's going to work for you in Google. And content marketing right now is an evergreen way to grow your business, the most cost-effective way possible. One of the ways. That's not for every business, but it works for a lot. So that's what I'd like to highlight. Startups, you need new customers for increased growth and investor appeal. The more customers you have, the more appealing it is to get more funding. Marketing is messy. Channels, branding, sales funnels, lead magnets. You know, I could rattle off a million terms, and they seem to get jumbled together at times. But the best strategy is going to be the 80-20 rule of content marketing for most businesses. So whether it's B2B or B2C, any startup product can benefit from content marketing. It simply means connecting with your customer. So whether that's another business to another business, that's really all it is connection. When you make a connection with somebody, they stay with you. They understand you, and your product appeals to them more as well. So that's a lot of innovation too. You know, if you really think about your customer, what you need, think about what you need first. Ask people if they need it too. If it doesn't exist in the market, you know, you can figure out a lot through really creating good content. So content marketing, the definition is really a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online materials such as videos, blogs, social media posts that doesn't explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. Again, content that's made, not really promoting the brand, you know, talking about yourself second and your customer first. Content marketing costs 62% less than traditional marketing, generates about 3 times as many leads. For startups, strategy costs much less than paid search. Can increase website conversions. When people find you organically, they're more interested. They don't have that put in front of your face that's forcing something to you. So it's really it goes a lot for you in the long run. MeetUP tells obviously the basic marketing. So a couple of my favorite examples that we've kind of reverse engineered some of our own marketing content strategies from NerdWallet. That's a San Francisco company. They had $500 million USD. Their initial products, I mean, think of this, it's an Excel spreadsheet that compares credit cards. And they put the biggest focus on creating articles that connected with people interested in financial products. Look where they're at now. They have like, well, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But the primary strategy is articles and SEO. Same with Dr. Axe. Dr. Axe is kind of a celebrity personality, but other than his charming good looks and doctor in front of his name, and he has really good health advice, he's done an amazing job at content marketing, primarily through SEO, article creation, and then just a single Facebook logo. He's now grown from started at a couple $100,000 to now he's doing $15 million a year. Again, articles, SEO, and a Facebook funnel. And if you really look at the problems you're having, I remember I've gone through about 300 software applications when developing my marketing agency, so I've really gotten to test out a lot of what a lot of startups have created, these amazing products. And a lot of the products I find is, I need a solution. I have this problem, I'm trying to figure this out, and the products that I have created good content, like 100% of the time. That's how I write it. And keep it simple. And so I kind of want to demystify the complexities of SEO and content marketing because it's a formula, it's a plan, it's proven, and it really only consists of a couple components that are scalable. So even though you may be deep in the trenches of code or leadership, project management, whatever it is, just have this in the back of your mind that it can be simple, and there's a good chance you'll need it. Not entirely, but just keep it. So the process really is to target your audience, figure out who you're selling to, create articles, create content, understand the sales funnel, customer journey, and then promote it across channels. So target audience, just keep in mind, for each person's buyer journey is different. Everybody has a different process that they think, a different reason why they're buying. Even if it's a similar reason, the location, the verbiage may be a little bit different. So just think of your customer first. And there's some simple exercises to do this. You really have to put your mind inside of your customer. And so there's easy worksheets, buyer persona worksheets. This goes a long way. It's tedious. You sit down with a pen and paper and you go, I can't believe I'm trying to think somebody else's thoughts here, but it works. It works every time. So as far as creating the content, blog articles are your standard. Video, clearly, YouTube channels. Video gets more search than blog. Infographics are great. You do podcasts, get an idea of the variety that you have access to. So like hiring writers, this is a quote from the NerdWallet lady, but earlier, I think I wrote too much here, but basically she talks about scaling. Scaling from 0 to 30 was the hard part. Scaling from 30 to 70 and then 100 is a lot easier, just because she had that system down. Again, keep in mind that NerdWallet, that's their primary strategy, writing articles and SEO. 500 million bucks. Now they have just a huge variety of financial services. So again, just to understand the customer journey sales funnel, it's a simple psychological process. When somebody buys something, it's a transaction of value, and you have to keep in mind to buy a product, you have to be aware of it, you have to think about it, you have to want to buy it, and you have to actually buy it. And if you chunk that down into psychological stages, it makes it a lot easier to create your content and pinpoint your target audience. And Google this stuff, check it out. But funnel stages, top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. There's different things at different stages. And for you guys, when you're promoting your products, creating this content, if you can link up your content to the buyer stage, there's just simple things. You can look at it online, Google it. It's almost like figuring out the puzzle pieces of psychology. Fit it in there, and it just kills it. To channel promotion, I'm an SEO nut. I don't know why. It's so interesting to me. It's just the hardest pain in the butt thing to do if you don't have a formula behind it. So that's what this is kind of all about. Figuring it out is the hard part. Actualizing it isn't that bad. So Google, social media, email marketing, and then influencer networks. Let's go to discovery. This is for people to find your products, find your content, get connected for the first time, which gives you the opportunity to capture them, and at least get them interested and consider it. So the SEO pyramid is pretty much keyword research. You make the content, link building, and then further promotion. And that's really it. If you have that blueprint, that's really what you need. Again, and I highlight NerdWallet, Dr. Axe, and then bodybuilding.com is another one. So content marketing is front-loaded. Make the content up front, figure it out, the strategy, and then execute. And the execution comes fairly easy once you get the front-loaded part figured out. Number one method, content marketing is guaranteed growth by a proven formula that engages your target audience, thus increasing customers, investors appeal for your startup. So, and think about it now. You can start working on stuff now. So, just thanks.
Thank you, Trevor. Give applause to Trevor. A question I want to ask, a simple question. There is so many types of content marketing. There is video-based content, audio-based content, text-based content. Which one the most effective for our marketing campaign?
I think it depends on what type of company and what type of product. So if it's a technology product that's physical, then you're going to want video because it's so much of a video and tangible. You really need to get a tangible sense. If it's an info product or service-based business that's based on technology, blog articles, because that's people are wanting to learn more about something. For service-based business, probably a mix of both. But anything the more content that you produce, the more response you're going to get back, by the way, the more connection. But it's kind of hard to see a YouTube video, at least a really boring YouTube video about some financial on service or something like that.
And then my question is, when we talk about channel distribution, there is Facebook, there is Twitter, there is Instagram. Which one the effective for startup, especially with minimum budget? Facebook is still good for our marketing, or we need to jump to Instagram, or there is another channel?
Again, it depends on what the product is that you're trying to push, as well as the ticket of the item, as well, price points, of course, and to something that's in, Pinterest. Again, visuals, Pinterest. Quick buy is more Facebook. And then certainly SEO is a little bit more of the longer play. And there's a whole different, contrast between different awareness systems between organic search with SEO that takes a little longer to happen. By the way, it takes about 6 to 12 months to rank a site right now, just so you know the current timeline. So it takes a while, but Facebook ads are right now. So it's good to balance the budget and test. Everything in startups too is testing and trying to get that response back from and it's an easy budget test as well for us.
Oke, step Q&A, ada pertanyaan terkait dengan konten marketing. Silakan teman-teman. Any question? Bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia.
Is that boring? That's what my parents say. It's so boring.
Okay, we are waiting for the question. And I'm so curious about you, Adam. If there is Indonesia startup want to move to Hungary, what is the biggest challenge if we move our office there? Is there any advice for us? For example, if your startup want to move to Indonesia, you need to learn local language, which is bahasa Indonesia. That is it's like mandatory advice for those who want to move to Indonesia. But if we are Indonesia startup want to move to your country, what is your advice?
You don't need to learn the language for sure. It's a very difficult language, by the way, so I would not suggest learning it. But it's definitely worth to consider how you can find partners and cooperate with locals. So you can do it by your own, but I still believe it is very useful and advantageous for a startup who want to move to Hungary to have local partners there. And UBWC can help you with that for sure.
How about the regulation? Is it so very easy to start up in Hungary?
It's relatively easy. You don't need too much money to establish a limited company. Processes are relatively easy as well, on a European standard. And I think I mentioned before that you have good access to early stage funding. So if you know that you want to move to Hungary and you want to start your business, but you don't necessarily have the right amount of money to start it from scratch, you can still apply for this early stage funding, and which you need to give up a little bit of equity, but that's very useful to have initial fund, which is necessary to establish the company.
Yes, Jill? Yes, please.
Just because actually the Hungarian government is very much supporting to have companies coming from Indonesia to Hungary, and basically especially for innovation and research there are some special funding that we are granting to investors which are coming, but definitely as Adam said, it's usually to understand the market, it's very good to have partners. And here in this regard, we have a lot of companies which you can partner with, and Hungary has now this special kind of scheme for startups also to enter. So I think it's really a very good way. And also if you are still students, just that you know that we have the Stipendium Hungaricum program, which is a special scholarship program which is available for all Indonesian students in different kind of fields, also especially in sciences and IT. And we are right now working with several universities on a work and holiday scheme so that you can not only study in Hungary, but beside of that also work as an intern and, for example, cooperate. And we are right now working on schemes together to have joint operation with incubation centers between Indonesia and Hungary and to exchange
for example, developers for some months so that you can go to Hungary, see there the European hub, and that also European developers can come here to Indonesia and see how it works, that we have a better understanding, we from the for Asian market, and you have a better understanding of the European market, because Hungary is definitely there in the center of Europe, and I think this is a very good initiative which is coming up.
Thank you for the explanation. You want to say something? Anyway, ada pertanyaan? Oke, over there. Maaf, Om Bogor. Sebutkan nama dari mana?
My name is Isham and I am 14 years old. My question is that will you at first have better users, like thousands of better users, and then at the first you'll get like hundreds of feedbacks, and how do you filterize them, like which is good and which is bad, and we're going to do this, and thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much again for the question. Congratulations, you're 14. That was a reason why I suggested that book, which is called The Mom Test. That's about asking the right questions and like having a good, like a very good idea of understanding who your potential customers are. And then you don't need to have like thousands of feedbacks and interviews with potential customers. You just need to have like a dozen of interviews, and if you find the relevant people, you can have relevant questions. It's not that difficult. So you don't need to have like hundreds of feedbacks to have a well-validated product. That's my suggestion. It's not first to invest that much time into it.
Terjawab. Oke, next question. Masih yang sama, sebutkan namanya.
Terima kasih, karena nggak ada yang nanya, saya nanya lagi. My name is Sutarjo, I am a student, old student. Related the question from the moderator, Mr. Perry, and very good question from our next future generation. That related with the marketing, that now that our customer is segmented, yeah, and how we able to ensure that we choose the proper channel for our target customers. So because of as for your information, in Indonesia is not like in European or under different country that most of users is using smartphone instead of PC. So then maybe also this is important also. How we select the proper channel. Thank you.
Sure. So in a marketing, any funnel, goes the awareness, the engagement, etc. So you can use a variety of channels, especially you guys are so social. I do nothing like Instagram. I hate taking pictures, but anyway. So you guys do so much to draw attention, and through viral and social media and interconnection with your products and getting people to like it, getting people to follow it, even just any kind of promotion you can do to get people to your website, to capture their information, to pixel them so that you can retarget them. So again, think about where's your product best going to be displayed. If it's an info product, if it's some sort of online financial service or something like that, then blog articles are the way to go, and maybe it's a little more challenging, but you can still use any channel to promote, and at a fairly low budget as well. Is that going to make sense for what you're looking for, or tell me the example of the product that you're working on?
Normally, that there are some startup that, for example, to connect that person that who needs some help. And then there are some business service provider that is scattered around. So this is some.
I think that would be a good case for blog posts, blog articles, and then maybe because think of the problem is that people need help, and depending on the type of help that they need, just to speak in some generalizations on this, that's where your keyword research is going to come in. Think of problems, think of keywords that are going to be related to the problem. It doesn't have to be the problem itself. It could be a residual effect or a side component of anything that's related to that is how you can take one problem and develop strength and pillars of relevant content that will hit your target market. So if the product's not something visual, it's something more question-based, then you really got to dive in deep, and you can figure out a lot of ways to hit your target customer, again, by figuring out your buyer persona. Get inside their head, think about what they're looking at, even slang words, stuff like that.
By the way, times up di pukul suara sebastian saya kawin. And we're going to jump to another session. I want to invite Adam and then Henry to the stage because we want to jump to the second session. Please come to the stage. Take your time. You have about 10 minutes for presentation. Do you provide slide presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Well, look, thanks everyone for having us. First of all, thanks for Excellency for helping us host this. Thanks, Ibu Safitri. Thanks, Baba Kerry. Thanks, Ibu Susanti for helping us organize this. And also, by the way, thanks, Adam and Trevor. I felt that Adam's points, they really nailed what at least I myself have found as an entrepreneur are some of the key pain points as you go through your journey, you develop your idea, try to solve problems, and try to deliver them. And I felt also, with Trevor, our startup is an example of a company that's basically done no sales or marketing, but very much appreciate the importance of it, and absolutely plan to do a lot of it going forwards. So thank you for that. So really, go to the first slide, I guess. Our company Element is an artificial intelligence-based company, but what I like to say is actually forget artificial intelligence because it's just a tool. And the key question with AI is, what are you doing with this tool? So I think, really what it gets down to is a lot of important principles that Adam definitely addressed in his presentation, which is what are the problems that we're trying to solve? What problems are we addressing and how? So I think if we go to the first slide, So what I thought I'd do to start with is open up with a case study. Let's see if we have some volume, return to volume. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Unique identifier is very, very important. But that is challenging in our country, particularly in a country like Bangladesh, where birth registration is only about 20%. I am Dr. Anisul Rahman. I am a public health practitioner and have been working in International Center for Diabetes Research for almost 27 years. So we meet today Nusrat. She is 6 weeks old, and today she is here for her first oral polio vaccine. Over the next few months, Nusrat will return to receive her second and third dose. Over her lifetime, she will come to this clinic many times for other vaccines and health services needed. Being able to identify her and refer to her vaccination and medical history is critical to providing her with the best possible care. Without a proper form of identification, this will be very difficult to do.
Global Good is a collaboration between Bill Gates and Intellectual Ventures to develop and adapt catalytic inventions that can enable low-resource communities to access good healthcare. I'm David Bell. I direct the Global Health Technologies group here at Global Good. Linking data to a patient's identity from birth through adulthood is vital to good healthcare. Biometric screening is a way of using a person's physical or biological characteristics to identify them accurately. For instance, a fingerprint or a handprint or an iris scan. Each human has a unique biometric print. This is in many ways the most accurate way of identifying people that we have. Biometric screening is widely used and accepted in financial services for protecting personal documents. In the health sector, it's been relatively neglected. The problem is particularly acute in identifying infants. So how do you capture an infant's biometric signature when the features are very small, they're changing over time, and the child doesn't sit still? You have to be very quick in capturing it. This is a problem which we brought to Element.
Element has built a mobile platform for biometric identity, and our goal is to deliver identity to the millions who need it. And there's almost no more frictionless way to do that than through smartphones that proliferate the world. I am Adam Harold. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Element.
The idea that Element is built around is the idea of taking pictures of your hand or your face to identify yourself. I'm Jan Kuhn. I'm a professor at NYU and director of AI research at Facebook. I'm a co-founder of Element.
Element was built from the bottom up with these deep learning methods to work for anyone regardless of their features and areas of real connectivity. That goes down to the algorithms themselves, which are robust to all differences in human form, to the ability of the models to run on any device local without connectivity.
Deep learning is based on the idea that you train a machine to programming. You train to recognize one person from another, from say the palm of the hand, or in the case of an infant, the picture of the feet of the infant. This is not possible with other technologies where every technology is really built specifically for a particular kind of signals, say fingerprints or faces. Here, it's the same technology we can apply to anything.
With partners in Cambodia and Bangladesh, we're following 8,000 infants over time to determine what biometric is most accurate and suitable for use in infants. Our goal is to build a novel platform for infant identification. One that is not touch, works without wireless connectivity, and runs on any mobile device.
And our goal is to cover children, parents, and their children, travel many hours and feel better to receive care.
My name is Manila Prat. I'm the director of Global StartUP Program of cover children.
As we move from paper system to electronic and mobile record keeping, biometrics are a key part of our effort to change the way we take and track medical record for our children.
Working with biometrics actually gives us a chance to be at the cutting edge of medical technology. My name is Claudia and I'm the CEO of Apple Hospital for Children. The interface between technology development and end user is just vitally important. And that's why a partnership with Element and Global Good is just very important for us.
Biometrics is really connecting the community with the health system problem. But it should work with different hardware, it should work with different context everywhere. Working global good and Element is really exciting for us because this is a new area of research we can use in different settings to improve the health of the children.
Thank you. So really just a couple more slides here. But what I wanted to show here was just an illustration of a problem that our company is solving with a whole variety of partners, including Global Good, but a whole bunch of additional partners that we'll about shortly. And what this is trying to do is solve the delivery of identity as a digital service that can be used on any smartphone around the world. We have 3 billion smartphones around the world today. You have 1 billion people that don't have formal forms of identity to use in their societies to access everything. It's accessing banking services, health services, telecom services. It has importance for immigration, everything. And so, what we became excited about when we formed our company wasn't biometrics. And that sounds funny to say because we're a biometrics company. We didn't actually really care about biometrics when we started. What we cared about is the whole world of problems that we can address with this type of solution. And so what we really care deeply about is helping people be able to create their bank accounts and transact no matter where they are, even if there's no bank and the ability for people to have continuity of care. One of our partners is a health provider in 60 countries and serves hundreds of millions of people. And what we can help them do is have continuity of care such that when a person who they call Sarah, when Sarah comes back to a clinic or hospital, that they can then connect Sarah to her medical record and know immediately that she has this disease or this allergy and provide appropriate care. And so that's what's driven our company, and the AI biometrics has just been sort of the way to deliver the solution. And just in a context that's so incredible today, with smartphones everywhere, the opportunity for innovation, and we see this in Indonesia so vividly, the opportunity for innovation when you have sort of these possibilities of delivery of services is just incredible. So we're very excited to be here. So, what is the problem, I think, was an excellent point that Adam surfaced, and, it really is something that as you go through your journey, you have to keep coming back to. Am I really addressing important problems? And does the way that I'm addressing them make sense? And at the early stage, you can probably get away with not worrying necessarily too much about business models, but you have to keep in mind that ultimately to scale something of impact, you need to be able to grow it, and you're going to need resources, and having a business model that can help you fuel that is very helpful. So, this slide really gets at something that is specific to Element, our company, on our research and development cycle. And so this may not be quite as important for all startups, but I think that some of the principles here are absolutely relevant, even if you aren't doing, say, AI type research and development. And so just briefly, what's behind the hood of this is this incredible innovation. You probably heard of AI sort of recently, more than, say, 5 years ago. A lot of this has to do with some innovations developed by our co-founder, Jan LeCun, in the 80s and 90s at Bell Labs, when he developed an advance called convolutional neural networks. And this is really why modern AI is so popular. So without getting technical at all, the key thing about AI today, and one of the reasons why it's so popular is, or it's had so much impact, is that it really sort of inverts the whole approach to machine learning. So the prior approach to machine learning was an approach where you had a human expert program the machine. So you had a human expert. It's a very sort of ego-driven exercise. The human expert would define the rules for how things should be classified, and then sort of impose these rules in the world. And for a certain set of data classifications that would work. But as we all know, the real world has a lot of natural diversity to it, and the types of signals that we can be exposed to aren't always exactly in the way that I have thought. So the advance that Jan really proposed was an advance that said, let's try to start with the data, and let's try to develop a method where instead of programming the machine, we will train the machine from the data. And so we first get large data sets, and we have the data define the rules. So the data trains the parameters of the algorithm. And then we look at the outputs, and we sort of do a cycle of iteration where we try to get as much representative data as possible about the signal, keeping in mind that we have to choose when we're solving problems which signals we're focusing on, because if you're solving a given problem, you could have a lot of options. And then from this data, we train the algorithms, and then we iterate. And one of the big challenges with going through your research and development cycle is that as you get better and better performance, let's say you go from 60% accuracy to 80%, and then you're stuck there. The problem is that no one tells you why. So how do we go to, say, 90% or 95%? And it could be any one of these three reasons. And so this is where some experience helps, but you just need to sort of really think about this model, I think. At least that's how we think about it. So, for example, in your research and development cycle, you could have plenty of data and your algorithms could be fine. But it could simply be that the signal that you are focusing on isn't that special. It's just not as rich a signal as maybe other signals could be. So you basically, so that's where you are. In a different example, it could be that your signal is very rich, and quite often some classic examples like image processing, audio processing, natural language processing tend to have very rich signals. So in these cases, you need to make sure that you have large data sets. And also getting data sets is going to be a key to solving the problem. And I think broadly, even if you aren't building an AI company, as a lot of people have said here at innovation days over the past couple of weeks, being aware of these techniques is very important because these techniques can help you solve problems, even if you're using it off the shelf from someone else. And then of course, once you believe you have good data sets, you need to build the algorithms from the data as you train them. And that's an example. That part, of course, won't be off the shelf. You need to be sort of fairly AI specialized to do that part. And that's sort of what we do a lot of. Slide, which is go-to-market. And again, what's interesting is that we formed in 2012, a good couple of years before AI started becoming popular. So I approached Jan to co-found our company about a year before Mark Zuckerberg called him up and said, hey, I want to build a big AI thing at Facebook, funny enough. And so we didn't form our company because we wanted to do AI by itself. And AI really wasn't quite a thing then, like it is today. And we wanted to sort of build a company to solve problems. And the nature of our problems really is addressing a whole world of people for which identity really matters every single day for very economic activities, banking services, healthcare services, and telecom services as an example. So, our company is probably fairly unique in that our go-to-market is very international. We're in about half a dozen countries currently. And really as we think about our go-to-market, what we try to do is leverage our strengths. So Element strengths, will be different from another company's. And another company's whole strength may, for example, be all about the local context. And what Element seeks to do is have very broad impact and be very localized. But sort of the nature of our product and the delivery of it is really meant to be sort of for the whole world. And so therefore our go-to-market tends to be with big partners in big important markets. Even actually just, I would say, in fact, all markets. We'd love to visit Hungary and talk with you guys as well. That would be a pleasure. But really sort of scale our software solution everywhere. Because we've actually found, we weren't sure about this when we got started, but it's now been very clear to us that the problems we were solving are everywhere. And we are in a whole number of countries in Asia and Africa now, and it's just all the same problems. Identity systems are just needed. They aren't there for so many people, and so many people have smartphones, and it's increasing. So our go-to-market tends to be with large banks for which we can integrate with their mobile apps. We can do some very interesting opportunities in helping transform business models, helping bricks and mortar, large banks and health services companies help launch agent networks where instead of having to have an expensive infrastructure in place that can reach a certain number of people through any mobile device, we can really solve a lot of the key problems that they need to reach people in agent networks, for example, retail, distribution channels, and so forth. And then because we're so involved in the affecting of the activities, our revenue models, our fee streams, our licensing fee streams per account, fee streams, or per transaction fee streams. And so our go-to-market is really pretty ambitious And sometimes you have to be careful you don't be too ambitious, but if the product delivery, which we believe is the case for us, if the product delivery can be so lean and so streamlined that you can just send your software anywhere on any device, and if you can come together with national scale partners and launch across their platforms to their customers to support their business needs, increase their revenues, lower their costs, help them do operations more efficiently, then what we find with us is that you don't need to even have a marketing or sales department because we're getting pulled everywhere all at the same time. So that's the best way, right? Although you know, everyone keeps as you grow your company and more comes to the kitchen, everyone says you need to do marketing, and we absolutely will. Yeah.
Still work.
Right, right. And so this is just the, by the way, this is just the global growth registration platform that we of course want to launch everywhere. This isn't the adult population or for banking services, especially in Asia, that tends to be a facial recognition platform. But with a whole suite of key features, spanning portability, where user models can be, each person's account can be as small as 3 to 6 kilobytes or even 1 kilobyte. You can run offline, anti-spoofing, everything, population scale, cloud configuration. That's on the banking side. And then on the health services side, you know, equally for banking and health services, you can use the facial recognition, the palm authentication, and later this year, fingerprint recognition through the smartphone camera that tied to national ID databases. So this was a brief anecdote that we felt was interesting, but much more to talk about. And I think I'll probably stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Daniel, and I'm representing the Salum Group here, which consists of 3 companies: Salum, currently Fastipay, and I'm also responsible for business development on the group level. I handed over a small YouTube video to play at the beginning because I saw that playing videos is kind of a must at today's event. So if there's a possibility to watch it, probably now we can watch it, and then I'll continue. always very tempting to talk about our company and a group of companies itself or themselves at these kind of events, but as I understood, probably we should not just do some kind of presentation, but also I'd like this session to be as interactive as possible. And also I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of being here with our distinguished guests and of course all the participants. And I have to tell you before we go into any of the startup things, is that I've been coming to Jakarta for a number of years now, and I'm always fascinated by the amazing developments that you're having in this great city and in the country as well. This is the first time I'm in a startup environment, in an environment that is specifically dedicated to startups, and this is amazing and impressive. So I'm quite glad to be here. We've had the opportunity to listen to great presentations, and it's always good to be here and listen to various aspects of the startup scene and also the challenges that we are facing. I saw on the leaflets that I am supposed to talk about challenges and maneuvering of the startups. And when it comes to this topic, I believe we could talk about this for days and hours. So I'd like to focus on a few things. But before that, let me just ask you one question. In your opinion, what is the definition of a startup? What makes a company a startup in your view? So how would you define a startup? Yeah, maybe if there's a microphone.
Okay, for me, maybe startup is simple as making an innovation. So we can ourselves start.
So innovation is like a key feature.
Yeah.
Anybody else maybe with any other ideas? Okay, that's very important, as we heard already today. Anything else maybe?
For me, startup is something a company with no business related stuff. When they have like revenue and like profits and stuff, they become company.
So they are such a company with revenue streams and so on. Okay. Anybody else maybe? Okay. This is relevant because we really should know what we are talking about, and it is also relevant when it comes to our group of companies, because Salum is a company that was established in 2001 originally. StartUP is a company that was established just a bit more than 3 years ago. Cardnet is a company that has been established also for more than 10 years now. So when it comes to whether we consider ourselves as startups, it's really interesting to see, okay, what is the definition? So we've heard a number of things which are very relevant, very interesting. I would say that probably a startup is, in my understanding, is a company that is working on a problem where the solution is not obvious and the success is not guaranteed. Also, if I'm looking at our own experiences, I would say that a startup is actually a mindset. Because you don't necessarily have to be a very young company to feel like being a startup. So in case of Salum, for example, that is a company that is primarily focusing on mobile payments, digital payments that are performed on a mobile device in a very secure way, a very secure environment. Salum has been, on the market in Hungary and in our Central Eastern European home region for quite some time now. still I would say that it does have a lot of characteristics of the startup. And when we talk about challenges, of course, all these things that we've heard today are extremely important, and it's always good to see what the theory is. So what are the textbook examples of a startup? What is the procedure? How do people from various entities that are interested or that are stakeholders in the startup look at this? And I could probably list a lot of very obvious things like challenges. For example, funding for startups. And as you could hear, there are a lot of ways that are available for, there are a lot of instruments that are available for startups. But one of the things I really want to talk about today is actually the mistakes and learning from the mistakes that one can make, and how that actually enables you to avoid mistakes in the future, but also to step forward in ways that you could never imagine before. So StartUP itself is a company that is dealing with mobile payments, and actually we've been doing that long before it was sexy. Imagine we even filed for a patent in the early 2000s, which basically just said, if a payment is done on a mobile device, then that's our technology, and that's our patented technology. And obviously, if you look around the market today, I would say that that kind of patent would be very difficult to defend. I mean, you have Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and Android Pay and so many other big players in the market. This is something that shows us that just having, some kind of innovative technology itself is not enough. Having funding itself is not enough. You need to put together an ecosystem where all these elements that you are very well aware of are there, but also you need to put it together in a way that you are able to succeed. So as a company, we made probably every possible mistake that you can make in this arena. We tried to team up with wrong partners earlier. We actually had some difficulties in finding the right people for our teams. We've had difficulties in identifying, okay, what the problems that we are solving, and so on. And I can tell you that all this experience is actually added to the learning and to the situation where we are today, where we can confidently say that we know who our target partners, target customers are. We know actually how to solve the problems of the startup companies, which are very much related to financing, and how to go to very different markets. Our home region is Europe, and as you know, Europe is very different from Southeast Asia, very different from Indonesia in so many ways. And one of the things that we had to learn was that we need to identify the right partners. So coming to Indonesia as a Central Eastern European company could be very difficult if you don't know the right partners. And that's why we are also very excited about all the partnership opportunities that we are having here in Jakarta. This is something that is also a mutual learning process for all of us. We know that just by bringing technology, we may not be successful. One of the other things that we've learned is that even though you may have the best technology for solving a certain problem, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be successful on the market. So what are the other elements of the success? Just to give you an example, a couple of years ago, we were in discussions with a very large global mobile network operator of the mobile wallet solution. And we had a lot of meetings. Meetings went extremely well, and lots of back and forth discussions. We really managed to define what specific areas we're going to cooperate and so on. And we got to the point where we would actually sign the agreement with this large global operator. And in the very last moment, actually, we were already negotiating about the execution copy of the agreement. And then in the very last moment, we realized that there is a competitor who actually, in the very last minute, managed to actually get into the position where we are, and then they were actually contracting this company instead of us. It was several years ago, and it raised a lot of questions to us. So, okay, how can we avoid these kind of situations? How can we maneuver in these situations? So I wonder what your experience is in whether they are any different or not. But we have to learn that simply by providing a good solution, a good technology is just not enough. You have to be able to understand your partner's needs. Of course, you have to be able to understand the local market specifics. One of the good things about Indonesia is that it's a very fast-paced moving of things when it comes to technology. So a couple of years ago, I came here and actually I could see that at the time, like the smartphone penetration was not very high. And nowadays, if you look around, basically everybody is using smartphones. So there's like a tremendous growth in terms of the smartphones. But still, understanding the local specialties is key. So, for example, even terminology-wise, we have to understand that certain things that we say, we may mean different things by those. So when we discuss things with our partners in Indonesia, then actually sometimes we say very simple things like e-wallet. And then it turns out that by e-wallet, originally, we had a very different understanding in Europe. So understanding the local specialties, the local needs and the way of doing things is also key. I know this may sound very obvious to you, but this is really something that you learn by experience. So you can have like wonderful presentations and you can read a lot about how to set up a business and so on, and those are very important, and I don't want to question the importance of that. But practice and reality is actually going to present you with so many challenges. I would like to probably give back the floor to our moderator and probably ask the audience if you have any specific questions about challenges or monitoring in terms of our experience. And of course, I'm more than happy to answer. I don't want to go into one more sentence. I don't want to go to a detailed presentation of our company. So if you're interested in that, of course, I'm more than happy to provide. But let's just make it a very interactive discussion.
Okay, you close to Janet and Ria. Anyway, guys, you want to close this debate. So only one question, okay? Any question? Okay, silakan.
Hello, my name is Chana from Helio. So I want to ask to Mr. Daniel. The question is about you said that one of the difficulties is to find the right partner, right? So how you can, or what your consideration to choose the right partner? Like now, actually, you make many partnership in Indonesia. So thank you.
An excellent question, by the way. There are various ways, of course, doing this. I would say that there are the formal and the informal ways of identifying the partners. With the formal ways, of course, it is always very helpful if the local authorities, local government has specific frameworks that would be able to connect you with right partners. So there are a lot of initiatives that are in place both in Indonesia and in Hungary, where you can actually meet those companies that may be the best fit for your needs or profiles. So that's the formal ways, and I'm sure our ambassador can tell a lot about this in terms of Hungary as well. But of course, informal ways of identifying the right partners are equally important. So using the business network that you are already familiar with, looking at your competitors and see what they are doing in a given market. Like Indonesia is a huge market. There are a lot of players, a lot of competition going on. So there's a lot of things you can learn from your competition, actually. And also, who do they partner with? I would say that, of course, naturally, if you have some business running in different countries already, then that gives you some hints and some ideas in how to approach another market and how to find the right players. But I would say that there can be very, very specific things from the regulation side, from the business side, from even the customer or the end user side, where end user expectations or customer experience may be very different from what we think would be the best from our other experience in other parts of the world.
Unfortunately, time is up. Once again, you applause to Adam and Daniel. Before we close this year, I want to take pictures together with all of the speakers. So I want to invite again to the stage Adam Sebastian and therefore Howley. And also, Miss Judith to come to the stage. You want to take pictures together. And there is souvenir from Telkom. So you want to take picture, and then from Telkom want to give the souvenir. Okay. You want to give the souvenir from Telkom, and Mr. Arif will. From the token of appreciation, and Mr. Arif will give the token of appreciation. Please, the token to prepare the token of appreciation. Okay, wait a minute.